From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow.
Oh, and did you just see? I was just doing the Donald Trump dance. Oh my God!
Don't say that name. My
Holy
God.
moly! I just found myself doing the Donald Trump jerk-off dance.
Oh God, James
I hate
St. James,
myself.
you are fired. That is James St. James. And of course, Blake Jacobs, you are here today, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Double duty, double fisting. Thank you for Tom Campbell, who's out sick, sadly.
Yeah, he's caught a light sneeze.
Yeah, COVID maybe. And
I did want to just say, tell everybody that's listening to our show, get your COVID shots now, get your flu shots now, because once RFK gets in there, they might disappear. So do it before things start falling apart.
I got mine.
And you got them at the same, you can get them 2 for 1, right?
Yeah.
In the same arm. That's quite okay. Yeah.
I did it about 2 weeks ago, and I was out for about a day, but it wasn't that bad.
There's a lot of stuff going around right now too. So get your shots while you can. Yeah.
Enough with the PSAs. Let's get on with the show.
Right. Number 10.
Number 10.
SNL was so Brat this week. Did you guys see it?
I didn't. I saw the promo. That was all I saw.
It was so good. I watched it twice. You loved it, didn't you, James?
I did. Every single thing hit this episode. The opening was absolutely hysterical, where they have the new Matt Gaetz, and it's played by Sarah Sherman, and that just probably drives him bananas.
Well, and then during the Weekend Update, Fenton, they said that Matt Gaetz, who was created what did they say, James?
Oh, when Frankenstein raped Dracula. And they a picture of him. And he looked like a combination of both of them.
That is really good.
But, it was so strange to me because everything about it was hysterical. The video shorts, all the different skits and everything. And going online afterwards, I was thinking everyone was like, it's back. SNL is funnier than ever. But the MAGA people on Twitter were like, this was the stupidest episode ever. I can't believe how bad the show is. Blah, blah, blah. Like the difference, the polarity between right and left keeps getting farther and farther apart, where we can't even agree on what's funny anymore. What is funny for the left is not funny for the right, and what's funny for the right is not funny for the left. How do you go on like that?
Did we ever agree? Really, did we ever agree? I mean,
it seems to me that, like, at least, in the 70s and 80s, we had, like Airplane. We had, comedies like Ferris Bueller. We had, those things that everybody could agree was funny, and it didn't have to be like, you didn't have to choose a side to think that something was funny. And I just don't think that that's even possible anymore.
More on that. I mean, like the one that they kind of made fun of MAGA, or not really MAGA, but I guess just like that bro-y podcasty.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. That was like the low point of the episode for me.
But even that was still sort of funny for me.
It was funny. My favorite one was one of the last ones. It was the It Girl Thanksgiving. Cher cooked the turkey. The Olsen twins were there. And they said my favorite thing. They were like, this blazer, that they were both in this huge overstuffed blazer. And they were like, this is from our sale, our Black Friday sale at the Row, where everything is 20% on.
That's good.
But that reminds me, because one of my favorite things was they had the video skit with the Wicked, where they all the celebrities were auditioning for Wicked.
Casting,
and Yang was Fran Lebowitz auditioning for Wicked.
Yeah.
Who were some of the other ones? They were so good.
Well, Charli played Troy, and Bowen played Charli for a Charli XCX and Troy Sivan one. JoJo Siwa was hilarious.
Oh, JoJo Siwa was very funny. Yeah. Janet Jackson came out and was like, I don't want to be here. Yeah.
Well, and then the digital skit, that was the Lonely Island digital skit. That was hilarious this week, where it's I'm gonna call the cops.
Yeah, it was Adam. What's his name?
Adam Sandberg.
Yeah. He's just so adorable. I just love him. And he was an uptight neighbor who was calling the cops on everyone. And that was sort of like the new,
Then actually there was one skit that was cut, and it was the other digital team. Well, the one that's there
The
now.
writers,
Please don't
yeah, the
destroy.
writers.
Yeah, and it was hilarious. It's where they run into Charli in the offices. Each one of them
Yes, and
does.
she keeps insulting them. They
And
keep
she
insulting each
all
other.
yeah, that was really good. I think it's really hit its stride. This was my favorite episodes this season. The Ariana one was really good.
I mean, you're gonna get something every time, and I love Sarah Sherman.
Me too.
You know,
When she did the squirrel.
Yeah, and I love Domingo too. I think Marcelo Hernandez is like the big breakout star. I think he's just adorable.
I think it's really good. Saturdays on Peacock.
All right, number 9, James.
Number 9.
A new series premiered on HBO Max, Dune Prophecy. It's the prequel, I guess, to Dune and Dune 2 Part 2. It's at 10,000 years before the arrival of Timothée Chalamet, and it's the beginning of the Bene Gesserit, who are the witchy sisterhood who train their bodies and minds to influence religion and politics across the universe. So far, it was a little slow. Did you watch it, Fenton?
I did not. I mean, I'm a little puzzled by the whole Dune Renaissance. I
thought you really enjoyed part
Me too.
22. You were the ones raving about it.
Well,
You love the Dune bucket.
But you wouldn't call it fast paced.
No, but I think people in this age of binging where you just sort of settle into a show and you watch 40 episodes, I think you're allowed to have sort of a slow
longer.
Yes, the petals opening,
unfurling.
Yeah, but I didn't like Dune 1, but I did like Dune Part 2. I thought it was spectacular. And I thought that the costumes and the sand dunes and the cinematography and the
Austin Butler.
Yeah, I loved all that. And that's all here too. It's beautifully done. It's beautifully shot. Emily Watson plays Valia Harkonnen, who is the head of the Bene Gesserit, the sisterhood. And we know that the Harkonnens, Baron Harkonnen, remember, is the big fat guy from Dune 2. So we know the Harkonnens are going to end up being evil at some point. There's a guy named Josh Houston who plays a hunky prince, and he's my main reason for watching now. He's sort of this gorgeous, gorgeous guy. And also Chris Mason, who plays Kieran Atreides, who is obviously Paul's great times 100 grandfather. And the problem with Dune to me was always that they try to build this universe right off the bat, and they throw a million terms at you, like the Skradladad need the ice for the Sprinkle lovers, and the Bene Gesserit need the Ramblana dunes for the, and you're like, what the hell is all this? And they're doing that a little bit here, where they're trying to tell us so much. There's like a 20-minute intro explaining what's going on in the universe. That's sort of like, what?
Is it Frank Herbert based on his book? Is it completely?
No. It is. It's all based on. There was a series of books that took place 10,000 years before.
Here's my Dune thing. I still got the popcorn bucket.
Do you wash it afterwards?
I don't wash it. I've never used it, James. I'm putting my fist in it. But I do love it. Well, okay, Dune. All right, number 8.
Number 8.
I follow this Instagram, assistants versus agents. It's basically snarky assistants. I like to keep my eye on it to know what.
I was going to say, you guys go through a lot of assistants. How are you afraid to see yours there?
It says, though, the latest post is like, breaking. We have now entered let's circle back after the holidays season. Because that's what happens, is that as you get near Thanksgiving, and we are near Thanksgiving, all pitching stops, all meetings stops, and it's not until the new year that it can start again. So, that's over. But then yesterday or day before, news dropped that Comcast, one of the mega media is spinning off its cable channels.
Well, wait, now I saw this today, and I'm glad you mentioned this, because it was the huge headline on HuffPost this morning, and it was in the Daily Mail and everything like that. And I read the article, I read the comments. I can't figure this out to save my life, what it means. Can you please explain what this
I will try.
means?
I mean, on the top level, I would say it is part of the massive accelerating industry collapse that we are witnessing. I think if you connect the dots, you see an unmistakable pattern of complete collapse. But in specific terms, you have to look at the fact that they're selling off these cable channels because everybody's cutting the cable. So you've got Comcast, which is NBC and Bravo and Peacock, their streaming network, which is doing pretty well. Meanwhile, cable, everyone's cutting the cord on cable, so cable is not doing well. Now, it has to be said that Comcast, who own Oxygen E, Sci-Fi, USA Network, MSNBC, the Golf Channel, and Bravo, of course. I mean, these businesses, they make about $7 billion a year. So it's not like a complete disaster, but everyone's taking it as the Titanic. The Titanic is going
wait, by selling it off, it means that they are no longer part of and people can only buy.
It's an accounting move, right? It's an accounting move by putting, they're not actually literally selling them off necessarily, but initially they're putting them all in a separate company. And hilariously, this company is called Spinco. I read it a couple of times, like, no. They really, you couldn't possibly have decided to call it Spinco. It's almost like Pull the Other One Incorporated, or well, it feels very of the incoming government, really, some sort of prankstery joke.
Does this mean, though, that because MSNBC, we could have talked about, morning show, Joe and Minka, and what they did, does, and how their ratings are plummeting, and CNN and MSNBC and they're all plummeting faster than a rock, Is that a good thing for them or a bad thing to be spun off?
It's a good thing for Comcast, who are going to hold on to Peacock, NBC, and Bravo, because of all those cable channels, Bravo is Andy Cohen, The Housewives, it's really successful and it's doing really well. And their streaming is doing really well. What's not doing so well are the cable channels. So they make it look like the overall massive company is less successful than it is. So if you put it in a separate bucket, you don't have to count how it's doing. And
it's sort of like when I do a video and I get yelled at by Wow Presents Plus for pulling down the algorithm because I don't do the numbers that does or Raven does.
That's right. We spin it off and we put it in like Wow.
That's exactly what you do. Yes.
There you go.
I understand completely.
But it's really, it is really sort of interesting and puzzling. My big fear is that Elon Musk is going to come in and buy them and sort of create a new level of state TV, because we've seen what he's done to Twitter, and it's just going to be this sort of the Russian equivalent of Pravda, of like just pumping out state government fascist news.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. It was interesting, though, that I too, James, was stunned when the Morning Joe people went to I was like, what were you thinking? And apparently their ratings in the hour that followed, their ratings crashed, literally just went through the floor.
Well, as far right wing as Twitter is, the amount of hate they got for it was an avalanche. I've never seen people turn so quickly on someone. I do, in their defense, which I don't know why I'm defending them.
No, I think it's good.
That they have privately said that they were terrified of retribution from Trump, and that they had to do that to save their own skins and save their family and save, that it wasn't so much, they weren't even thinking about ratings. They were thinking about saving their lives, that they were afraid of what could happen to them,
Yeah, well, I foolishly got sucked into it myself. I posted this thing because Trump supposedly posted on Truth Social that they came to him like dogs. And apparently he didn't post that. It just goes to show we just don't know now.
We don't know what's real and what isn't real. Yeah,
right, exactly.
But I don't believe that Trump is going to be kind to the women of The View. I don't think that, and Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow, I think they're all probably on a list somewhere.
Maybe. But interestingly, Trump, I don't believe he's ever said anything about Rachel Maddow, because he knows she speaks the truth, and he's never really come for her. Not trying to poke.
I mean, he does go for, he calls Anderson Allison now. He's like Allison Cooper.
It's just disgusting. But also at the same time, James, you can't comply in advance. You can't.
Yeah, you can't really live your life in fear, because we would be afraid all the time and nothing would ever get accomplished. I mean, like, it's until we're being dragged off personally, I guess it doesn't matter.
I have, before we are dragged off, a new Drag Race announcement alert. Drag Race France All Stars is coming to WoW Presents Plus. This is France's very first All Stars saison. Queens from the past 3 seasons of Drag Race France will have a chance to return and battle it out for the All Stars crown. And of course, where can you watch it? You can watch it and every version of Drag Race on WoW Presents Plus. Just go and sign up. Where do you go sign up, Blake?
WoWPresentsPlus.com, of course. Which of our crowned queens was part of Charli XCX's SNL entourage, attending the rehearsals, the show, and the exclusive after party?
Oh, we'll have the answer right here after the break on the WoW Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders WoW Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the WoW Report. I'm Fenton here with James and James. Blake standing in for Tom Campbell, who's out sick. And you had a question.
I did. Which of our crowned queens was part of Charli XCX's SNL entourage, attending the rehearsals, the show, and the after party?
I'm going to say Alaska, because she's in town to do her Broadway show, or off-Broadway show.
Close, but no cigar.
Okay.
Trixie?
No. It was Aquaria, season 10.
Oh, of course. She is the Queen of Manhattan.
Well, and I'm so jealous. But does Aquaria have Charli XCX singing Happy Birthday to her? Or Charli XCX's signature on our RuPaul card? No.
Are you trying to tell us that Charli XCX is saying Happy Birthday to you?
Yeah.
When?
No.
Well, Theron had her record it when she was...
What? Why doesn't Theron ever record the nice things to me when people come on?
Well, you have to be nice to Theron.
Oh, that's what it is.
James, maybe we should have Theron on the show.
Let's do it.
Number one.
You're off. Call Theron in right now.
Theron makes us go wow every single week. All right, we're counting down top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 7.
Number 7.
Have you guys heard about this guy in, of all places, Arkansas? He's a doctor. He went by Naked Dr. Dave on Instagram.
I saw this.
Oh my God. This happened back in October in Blavel, which is in the northeast Arkansas. His name is Dr. David Diffine.
How are you going to explain this to our audience? If it's what I'm thinking of, this is a hell of a story for our audience to take in.
Oh, keep going. You got my attention.
So recent footage obtained by KAIT in Arkansas shows him walking around his office completely naked, including in the receptionist area where there are 3 women who work for him. It shows him like stretching and then at one point getting a piece of pizza. Then he performs a sex act on one of the women before ejaculating on her face while the other 2 watch. And this is all on film.
During office hours.
During office hours.
Wow.
Now, what kind of office situation is this? It couldn't have been the first time, because the women weren't like, what's going on? It's like they were.
No, he has an Instagram called Dr. Naked Dave. He's like some naturist,
Well, there's a bit more than naturist, because naturists just walk around with little floppy wieners. And
obviously,
this man was hard. Walking around hard, and obviously does this all the time.
Yeah, like, the person
how do you apply for the job or go in for the interview and
it's all about power. The person who sent in the footage claimed it was taken during business hours and said the doctor used his position of power, sexual grooming, salary increases to groom employees and patients into repulsive sexual acts.
Wow. I just don't understand the world anymore.
It's just insane that he would think that you could have, like, in a small town in Arkansas. I'm from a small town in Arkansas. Everybody knows everyone's business. So
well, that's just it. Like, and then you're on Instagram doing this.
Yeah.
Like, where is the line anymore? I mean,
well, he's
and,
been
and obviously he must get some sort of not gratification out of it, but some sort of
he's probably like some kind of pervert. Like he gets sexual pleasure out of. I mean, obviously he gets sexual pleasure out of it because it's caught on tape.
But it's also looking at the article here, it seems to be the in-office CC. I mean,
Yeah.
he must know.
Well, yeah, no, he's doing it on purpose, and he must get some sort of.
He said
he must have quite an audience for it, and he must
what did he
on
say?
the audience.
When informed by the Arkansas Department of Health that there was footage of his alleged behavior, Diffine reportedly replied, "I don't know anything about that at all. I would have to see those things to have any idea what you're talking about."
Oh, please.
So it's the, I don't know what you're talking about. That whole defense that's like half of the nation.
Right, the lying, the lie, the good old-fashioned lie.
Yeah. So,
and it's interesting you say Diffine because it's Diffine. Is that how you say it? You don't say define?
I know. I thought it was pronounced that way too until I watched the actual news clip, and they pronounced it that way. So, because I got read for pronouncing heretic or heretic last week. Wrong.
Heretic. You called it heretic.
Yeah.
But I think heretic might be the adjective form of heretic. So I think
maybe.
you might be correct.
I just put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
like Fenton and his dynasties and aluminium and vitamins.
I think we're getting off the track. I want to go back to Dr. Diffine. It's so weird.
It's insane.
I mean, imagine you're one of the 3 women who work there, and you just have to go home to your husband every night and say, "He did it again, hon. I'm sorry. There's sperm in my hair again, babe."
I mean, it's no laughing matter, really, but it is very extraordinary, isn't it? It's very brazen.
Yes.
James, number 6.
Number 6.
I have decided to go along with millions of other people. I made the decision to move over to Bluesky. Bluesky is the kinder, gentler social media platform that is very unpolitical. It's a lot of cat memes and Gossip Girl gifs.
And it was created by 2 people who left Twitter when Elon bought it, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the idea is that you can block people and they just can't get on. So like when Nick Fuentes tried to join, he was immediately blocked and there's just nothing you can do. He just couldn't get on. But the problem with it is that I have discovered is that I have been on for a week and I have 100 followers. And I have 35,000 on Twitter and 100,000 on Instagram.
Holy moly.
And so for me, and I keep talking on these other platforms saying, come join me over at Bluesky, and it's just not happening. So for me, now I have to spend my time on 3 different sites instead of 2. And it's a time suck, and I don't get the engagement that I was getting other places. So is it worth it for me for 100 people?
How about how much work you don't do during office hours because you're managing your 3 platforms?
How dare you, sir?
I joined Bluesky as well, and the thing I didn't love about it is whenever I signed up, like it feels like every other app suggests all your friends that it knows are on the app, and I didn't find.
I had to go and physically find them one at a time and make notes and everything like that. But the idea of having to rebuild at my age just feels like at what point we went from Friendster to MySpace to Facebook and it just at what point does it end? At what point is there like am I going to be 80 and there's going to be a new one and I've got to do it all start from the beginning?
Yes, because media is not about technology. The delivery system is always going to be changing and evolving. What's not going to change or evolve is the genius of you. The white pot must have it.
But it seems like I'm getting fewer and fewer people doing it. Fewer and fewer people are appreciating it as I go from place to place. It feels like the difference between records to 8 tracks to tapes to CDs to LimeWire to Napster to iPods. iPods to streaming now.
Tell this to all the Vine celebrities.
Oh, and Tumblr, not Tumblr,
Yeah.
was it Tumblr? No, it was
Well, it left and it came back and it never was the same because they took all the porn off, remember?
Mhm.
Oh, well, that was a damn shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So Blue Sky, yeah. I mean, are you on Threads?
Oh, Threads is just the most ridiculous one of all. God, that is just a hellscape. Dear God in heaven.
Blue Sky has gotten a 500% increase since the
Yeah, no, it was doing 11
election.
million a day for the days after Trump won.
Well, James, I think you should stay off social media and read a book.
Number 5.
Wait, what the hell do you think is behind? What on earth? Do you not know me at all? How dare you again?
I know, honey. No, you are a bookaholic. I totally agree. But I mean, I'm just saying, I wish I could personally, doom scroll less, watch less social media, and yeah. And the other week, I got this book, Convergence Culture, and it's not a new book. It was
because that's like an iPod Generation 2 on the
Exactly. This book was written in 2006, and you would think, well, James is already yawning. I've already lost James. You would think that a book written about media in 2006 is going to be completely out of date, but I think it's kind of a milestone text. It's by Professor Henry Jenkins, who used to be at MIT and now he's at USC, and basically his area of interest is what he calls participatory and fan culture. In fact, he's supposed to be the creator of fan studies. And I suppose in a nutshell, the idea, it's not exactly the same as social media by any sense, but the idea that in the old sort of media world, you have the audience and the creator, and it's just artists telling the audience what to think, what to see. But now it's more like the audience is participating. It's this idea of super engagement. And his sort of argument is almost really that the fans are the tail that's wagging the dog. Not that tail wagging the dog is a bad thing, but it's the new world that we live in. And that the reason, for example, you've got Comcast bundling all its cable channels into a new thing is because the delivery technology is changing. But what people aren't doing, what the sort of executives or the media people aren't doing, is understanding that the audience is changing and that media itself is the thing that's really changing. James.
Well, this has been a theory of mine for a long time as well, is that the downfall of society came when we gave the power from the critics to the commenters, where all of a sudden, for years, you had Pauline Kael and Gene Shalit and everybody telling us what to think about a movie, and now they do not matter. It is what the commenters are saying on Rotten Tomatoes. We have given all the power of what is a good movie, what is a bad movie, what is a good TV show, what is going to be popular to the people, and that is what has given the rise to MAGA, where politics is being defined not by the pundits and talking heads and political people, but by the people in our, the small towns in Iowa and who are sitting on their keyboards. The keyboard warriors are the one driving the movement. And so much of our culture, our politics, everything now is not the people who go to school for years and years and years to learn film criticism and things like that don't matter anymore. It is the incel in the basement who is the one with the power, which is sort of what you're saying. That's the fan culture you're talking about.
When Professor Jenkins started his sort of fan culture studies, the feeling was that what is an academic doing, wasting his time looking at fandom, and that fandom actually culturally was seen as something that was quite sad. You had fan clubs of pop stars, and it was always a bit sad, wasn't it? As opposed to now, the idea was that I suppose then the
Swifties are the cool ones now, as opposed to
And he writes in this book that that fandom was a waste of time, and that people should be concerned with more serious things like politics. And just as you have said, well, now politics is fandom, and that the way people are elected is based on the fandom.
And that happened when we turned politics into a reality show. When we made it into, we stopped it being.
I definitely think in its current iteration where we are right now, in the MAGA thing, that is all bad. But I'm not sure. Do you believe that culturally it's all bad?
Yes.
Oh.
I do. I want to go back to a world where we have experts talking about things that they know that they've studied, as opposed to getting I want Pauline Kael back. I want to have.
But what about you? I mean, you live on, you thrive in a social media environment, right? We've just been talking about that.
I'm the anomaly. I'm the expert who happens to be a fan.
Why don't we take a break? Canada's Drag Race Season 5 premiere is out now. The Queens popped off on their single Go Off Queen, featuring Brooklyn Heights. It's streaming on our music platforms, but go listen and watch the premiere now on Wow Presents Plus. Blake, do you have a question?
I do, and I may want a visa to go work on Canada's Drag Race, and it kind of has to do with this question. According to TMZ, which celebrity couple have left the California coast for the Cotswolds in southwest England?
I just saw this afternoon.
Well, all right. We'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James St. James and Blake. Tom, sadly, is out sick this week. But Blake, you had a question?
I do. According to TMZ, which celebrity couple have left the California coast they've called home for a long time for the Cotswolds in southwest England?
Fenton, do you know?
I don't, but I was just going to say everybody is leaving. Yeah. In case you didn't notice. So it could be any number of millions of celebrities.
James, tell us who it is.
It's Ellen and Portia.
Yep.
Oh, really? Are
yeah,
you kidding?
After all this time, they just sold their Santa Barbara place, and they are
in the Cotswolds.
I don't know if I could identify the Cotswolds on a map.
They're 2 hours away from London, is what
I don't know, but is it south? Is it west?
It is south. It's the south.
South.
Oh,
Southwest England.
Oh, okay. Oh, very nice. Very lovely. We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow, we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
Dear God in heaven, did you watch the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight? Anyone?
I did.
Oh, it's funny because I don't care about any of those things. I just don't. But
but you watched
it. And I were talking about it, and they said that it started at 5:00 on Netflix. And I said, "Oh, it'll probably be over by 5:03 with a knockout with Tyson punching out that Jake Paul imbecile, that little brat. I just hate him so much." Anyway. It wasn't. It was about 14 hours long. It just never ended. First of all, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders come out, and then Rosie Perez monologues for about an hour, and then there's panel discussion after panel discussion after panel discussion, and then they start the fights. And I was like, okay, finally, after 2 hours, we're going to start the fight. Well, it's Bobby Joe and Solomon, blah blah blah. You have no idea who these people are, and they're beating each other up, and it's 10 rounds. And you're like, okay. So after 10 rounds, then they're like, okay, well, now comes Susie and Jill, and they come out, and it's women's boxing. And news alert, I've discovered, I don't know why I thought I would, but I don't like women boxing at all. It's bloody and violent, and they punch each other, and their eyeballs pop out, and they're things break open, the skin break. It's their eyebrows blow up.
Which is okay if guys are doing it, right? You're just saying it shouldn't be ladies.
We're used to it. I've seen Rocky, so I know what that face. But when you see a woman's face like that, it's just very disturbing. So anyway, it's 7:00, it's 8:00, it's 9:00, it's 10:00, and finally at about 10:30, I thought, screw this, I'm going to go watch some Bob's Burgers because we've got another 4 hours, obviously. So I go and watch one episode of Bob's Burgers, and I come back and it's over. So I totally missed Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. But it's very, the whole thing, I don't like that. I don't like, he's an old man. Jake Paul is in his 20s. Go, what he's going to go beat up Jimmy Carter next? Don't beat up old men. It was just wrong.
I guess he did it for the money, though, right?
And Mike Tyson both did it for the money. The whole thing was a setup. And, and they say that Mike Tyson was pulling his punches because he was, going to go down. It was predetermined all along.
Yeah. They were saying there was a leaked script, but.
Yeah. Wow. But
and
still,
did it glitch? Did your Netflix start?
Mine was pretty good.
Mine was pretty good. It was pretty good. But like I said, just don't beat up old men. Just don't do it. You're a jerk.
It's the culture we're in, James, isn't it? It's where we're at.
Beating up old men, like I don't want anyone beating me up. I don't want like these young punks coming around thinking they can make a buck by punching me in the face.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Do you know Tuesday was World Toilet Day?
Get out of here.
Were there sales?
WTD, World Toilet Day. It's an official United Nations International Observance Day. Yep. And it actually started in 2001, unofficially, and then was adapted by the UN in 2012. And the first slogan for 2012's World Toilet Day was...
This stinks.
I give a shit, do you? It really was. It really was.
I was going to say something shitty, but I was like, it can't be.
Well, you would love this because every year they have a theme. In 2019, for example, the theme was leaving no one behind. I know, but this is so great. I just fell into a sort of Google hole looking it up. It's actually a serious mission to inspire action to tackle the global sanitation crisis, right? Because worldwide, 673 million people practice open defecation. And that even excludes the people who voted for Trump. So,
well, what does that mean? Just like shitting anywhere?
I think it does.
Like in third world countries and stuff where there aren't plumbing and things like that.
Do you know what the theme is for this year?
What is the theme?
Toilets are a place for peace.
Well, they are.
Well, they are. I do a lot of my reading on the loo, actually.
Well, you're not supposed to do that because it can be unhealthy, to sit too long on the toilet. You'll get hemorrhoids.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just sitting there, just like, it's so like when you get on a plane, it's like just a protected space, I feel. Like we're just left alone.
Exactly. Well, it sucks for us because I only have one. We have 2 bodies and 1 bathroom.
That's one of the reasons apparently people have been reluctant to go back to the office is because
pooping in the office,
you can, poop whenever you want. Well, all right. So clearly next year we'll have to observe World Toilet Day.
Totally.
Number 2, James.
Number 2.
Speaking of number 2s, number 2, we have the other week, Tom and I went to go see a Q&A at LA Film Fashion Festival downtown, which was a really interesting thing. They do it every year. They did it in Berlin. It started out and then they moved it over here. And it's a lot of, they show these fashion shorts, these little fashion films. And then afterwards, there was a Q&A discussion with Nick Egan, with Merle Ginsburg, who we love, who is a wild celebrity. And she was talking to Nick Egan. And if you don't know who Nick Egan is by face, you know who he is by his work, because he is the man, the architect of the late 70s, early 80s, punk, new romantic, Buffalo style, Vivienne Westwood, at early MTV, all of that, his work. I'm going to give you just a very quick rundown of some of the things that he's done that you probably know. The Sex Pistols t-shirt with the cutout letters and the Queen with the
God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen. Yeah, he did that. He did the Clash album cover. He did the first Clash album cover. He did Iggy Pop. He is responsible for Bananarama, Bow Wow Wow, Culture Club album covers. He did all of their, the Culture Club. What is it? The graphics,
topography.
The topography. He did all that. He was the director. Once we move into MTV era, he did all of the Duran Duran videos. He did. Like I said, Bow Wow Wow, Adam and the Ants, Culture Club, Bananarama. Vivienne Westwood designed a number of fashion collections around his style. A lot of the Buffalo stuff was him. That whole Buffalo Girls Go around the outside, Malcolm McLaren. That was they had gone to Malcolm and Nick had gone to New York, and they got the idea to combine square dancing with the emerging rap scene, because Malcolm said that they were both call out. You call out, like, grab your partner round and round. And Rap was like, raise your hands in the air. So it was like the same sort of thing. And he thought that it would be fun to mix them together and end up, changing culture forever. He did the Ramones. He did Dexy's Midnight Runners. He did all of the INXS videos. He did Sonic Youth, Kylie Minogue, Belinda Carlisle videos. He did Alanis Morissette's You Ought to Know video. He did all the Oasis videos. I mean, from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, he literally is responsible for everything that is in your memory about what defines that era. And he was so funny and so insightful. And he had so many things that he was like pulling, threads about what, about
was it the weave? The weave?
He was doing the weave, but he was talking about how that nobody had tattoos except for like Hell's Angels and sailors and stuff until 1981 when the Stray Cats hit South London, and they started with their videos, and they had the sleeves. They were the first people with the sleeves, and the women went bananas for the sleeves, and that's why boys and men have ever since been copying the success that they had with their, and they are responsible for tattoo culture, which
we all owe it to Brian Setzer.
We all owe it to Brian Setzer. Exactly.
Wow, that is fascinating. I mean, there are these fundamental changes. Like, we were just talking a little bit ago about, like, back in those days too, you would go to a club and you wouldn't talk. It was cool not to talk, and like how that sort of changed.
Well, that changed because of the club kids. I mean, I think
that's
honestly,
true. Actually, that is, yes, exactly.
That they were the ones who broke away from that area mentality.
Absolutely. Yes, look at you.
I'm always, and especially with our podcast Night Fever, which is now filming season 5, I'm always looking for those flashpoints in pop culture and gay culture and in club culture where something happens and then the ripple effects keep going for decades to come.
And it's so important, James, because you forget. We all just sort of forget, and then suddenly someone will remind you of that. Well, it was different then, and it changed at that point, and you're like, wow, it really did.
Yeah. And so this guy Nick Egan, I'm going to try and get him on the show because it's funny because I went up to him and I he lived in New York for a long time and was involved with Marc Jacobs. He did all the Marc Jacobs grunge era things, and he did like a lot of hip hop and stuff in the early days. And I said, Nick, oh my God, I haven't seen you since probably 1987. And he said, James, we were just hanging out a few years ago in LA when your movie came out. So apparently I had been seeing him, but I didn't realize it. I thought
your movie being Party Monster,
right? Freak Show. It was
Freak Show, right.
He's friends with Trudy, so we'd all been hanging out at dinner, and I just completely had forgotten about it.
We're going to take one more break, but I do want to tell you, Black Friday is coming, and we are going to have 20% off across Wow Presents Plus, DragCon, RuPaul's Drag Race Live in Las Vegas, and the Wow Store from Black Friday on through the beginning of December. And on the 31st of this month, we're unveiling our Advent calendar. And if you sign up, you get this Advent calendar where every day you can open a new little window. And it's like a savings and things. Like, for example, we have a lovely Shantae You Stay Christmas stocking in the shape of a high-heeled platform boot. Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And have you seen the new the coffee mugs, the Drag Race or the RuPaul's Drag Race coffee mugs? They're just gorgeous. It's like a rainbow, but it's like a metallic rainbow.
A sort of metallic glaze.
It's so beautiful. It's just fantastic. It's good for Granny. Get it for your Granny.
Get it at the Wow Store.
And 20% off. Yeah, so you go to worldofwonder.com to sign up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's take one more break. And when we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go,
wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Blake, who's just been picking his nose, and James, who's just been looking at his notes. Counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 1.
Number 1.
Well, now I just saw an article in the Daily Mail, and I'm sorry to keep quoting the Daily Mail right now, but sometimes
they're wrong,
and they're wrong. They are very wrong about this. They have an article about tacky Christmas decorations versus posh decorations.
Like the Daily Mail would know.
Exactly.
Well, that's just it. That is just the problem here, because they give this list of what's tacky and what's posh.
Okay.
And they're saying, and I wanted to go through some of them with you. They're saying a big tree is tacky, having a very large. Posh is having a very small, tree that sort of sits in the corner, and
that you may plant on the estate later.
Yes, exactly. But and having tons of mismatched Christmas presents under the tree is very tacky. But having them all be gold wrapped, foil wrapped with is posh. And I'm thinking to myself that at some point, Fenton, you probably had a very posh tree. There was all golden fairy lights as opposed to multiple colored lights.
No, let's be clear. Melania Trump does the monochrome, the color block Christmas tree. Remember,
bloody red, yes.
Yeah, right. Disgusting, repulsive, vile. No, if you haven't got family heirlooms to put on your tree, what are you even doing?
That was what I was saying to Blake. I love having when my sister puts her tree up because I don't have a tree, but my sister, when she puts it up, all the things that we made when we were in first and second grade, and they're crumbly, and they're the macaroni that we strung, all of that stuff. I love that. I think
I used to think that only white lights, if it wasn't all white lights, it was tacky. But then I grew up and I love colored lights. And you were saying like having them in all different shapes and sizes. I love that too.
Yeah. What's your position, or what is their position on fake trees? Or
fake trees are tacky. You've got to have the real ones.
Oh, and the colors for Christmas was really pissed me off, because they were like, red and green is tacky. It should all be beige and white and gold. And I'm like, ugh.
I'm dreaming of a grayish Christmas. I don't think so.
Gold and silver are preferable. And outdoor lights, you can't have the big outdoor light film festival just doesn't work. That you should just have one bush or tree with lights on it. Just
now I agree with that, but only because I'm lazy and don't want to pay to have someone else to put it up.
Oh. Well, that says more about your pay grade than it does about your laziness.
We used to have a fake Christmas tree that came pre-flocked. Was had snow on it, and you just got it out of a box and.
My sister has one. I mean, it looks very real. I mean, she's had it for about 10 years, and she spent a lot on it. I mean, they can be very expensive, but it does look very real, and she just pops it up and takes it down. It's very easy peasy.
Did they consult Mariah Carey for this article? Because she is the queen of Christmas, and she's opening a cafe. There's a Mariah Carey Christmas cafe in New York.
There is.
Mm-hmm.
But they also say that tacky is scented ornament, or scented candles are tacky.
What? I was just about to say I only want real trees because of the smell, but you can just do that with a Christmas candle.
Yeah, but you can't do no Christmas candles now. It has to be, you have to have mulled wine with like oranges in it that are simmering on the stove that lets citrus flavor.
I don't like how that smells.
Wow.
I think we should all go to Mariah Carey's holiday bar. I'm just looking at it. It's in New York, in Chicago, in Nashville, in New Orleans, in Dallas. I mean, the woman is an industry.
So she decorated, or they just licensed her name and put her picture up?
I think it's an immersive environment with all the trimmings.
So it's a bit like the Museum of Ice Cream, where you get to go and lie in the
it's a bar where you can drink.
Oh, okay. But I think what I was trying to get at by having this be number one is I want to hear a little bit about what Christmas at Fenton's house looks like.
Well, Mr. Jingles is going to deliver a Christmas tree. It's a big one.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put the lights on.
Where do you put the Christmas tree now?
In the living room.
Okay.
Are you going to do Christmas crackers?
Christmas crackers, yes. I'm going to actually go to the UK, so I'll get some crackers and bring them back. Although I don't know.
The things that blow
yes,
up.
You pull one in
crackers.
Yeah, those are okay.
I'm not sure you can bring them on the plane, though, because, they're technically explosive devices. So, I mean, what else? I mean, I love a Christmas stocking. I mean, my mom, back in the day, God bless her, used to actually fill a stocking of hers with stuff. I mean,
an actual stocking?
An actual stocking, a nylon stocking. I know.
It was cute. Oh, that's a mom thing.
Did you really fit a lot of stuff in if you use a real stocking?
I'm sure, yeah. But Nolan, not Nolan, Elliot, does he make things at school that you put up?
Yes, they do. And then he does. He writes a note to Santa and leaves a plate of cookies and milk. And
do you get to open one present on Christmas Eve? Do you open them all on Christmas Eve? What do you do?
Very sticklers about that. I mean, like in America, it seems like Christmas Eve is sometimes bigger than Christmas Day, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
And what is the Feast of the Seven Fishes?
Oh, I think that's a Catholic thing.
Oh, okay. Because you eat fish on Christmas Eve, right?
Well, that would be on the Friday. Don't you all Catholics eat fish on Friday?
I don't know. We're so irreligious here.
God, people are.
I know.
People are canceling us left and right.
Okay, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. Get well soon, Tom. Same place, same time next week.
Yep.
So then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.